They're broken down and defeated, detergent, busy and confused, sleeping. You're dying while I wait you to get started. On the journey chosen, wasted, now it's selected. I was so bad, what happened? Fall out of the sky and crush me in my smile. I was so bad, what happened? Fall out of the sky and crush me in my smile. Sober, sad and jaded. They're not coming, they're broken down and defeated. You are dying while I wait you to get started. You are dying while I wait you to get started. I was so bad, what happened? Fall out of the sky, yeah. Crush me in my smile. I was so bad, what happened? Fall out of the sky and crush me in my smile.
I'm a motherfucking unicorn, a one-of-one. The vibe being the love and light, then light and one. My karma isn't just stellar, I live by truth. Fighting evil, my scars are living proof. Protecting you from the storms with all my might. Love me, I will treat you right. You ever cross me, it's the last thing you'll ever do. With my crown of thorns, I'll wreck you. I ain't playing, yo, Reinhardt, call me a saint. Too bad, Chris, because Bigfoot knows my name. I'm a messenger of God, with loyalty I serve, taking out all evil with his holy word. A true Knights Templar, sword in hand, slice you up, bury you in the sand. I'm a motherfucking unicorn, you'll never find anyone like me. Born in the Bronx, raised in NYC, so listen up, take heed. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. A true Knights Templar, sword in hand, slice you up, bury you in the sand. I'm a motherfucking unicorn, you'll never find anyone like me. Born in the Bronx, raised in NYC, so listen up, take heed. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Hello and welcome to the broadcast, Third Eye Live, episode 2. Yes, I only have one podcast for all those who are paying attention. A ton of them. It's like Dave Scott says, I have 9,000 and plus. Al could attest to that. Al Sandariga in the chat right there. We've got Douglas Sullivan. Doug, welcome to the chat. We also got Eric Mattson Jr., who is our guest tonight. We're going to be getting to that in a few moments. I'm waiting for my Nana to come in. She's supposed to be here. It's really weird because Wednesdays, sometimes they're tough nights. When the other people get pulled into other shows. We had a little bit of an issue when we did Three Beards a couple of months back before the summer started when Craig decided to end it, but I'm here. I'm going to do it. And I'm finding right now is that there is a ton of people that watch this after the fact. And over time, they'll probably start to come back in. That's how it rolls. Al and I, when we used to do podcasts, it started out slow, but we built up a base, and some of this is being pointed to some of those end streams. But we're going to get our guest on. We got a little house cleaning to take care of right now. And the opening song, Crush My Smile, is written by Ron McGrath. He's a good friend of mine. And we're going to have Ron on and his alter ego. You'll be surprised who he is. He's wonderful. He's an incredible researcher, a musician. And he allowed me. I told Ron, I said, Ron, when you do TV, get your shows and whatever, you need to use the song because it's a great song. So he said you could use it. I'm using it. And the other one right after that is I figured everybody has a theme. They come into the rings with themes. So wherever they go, they always have their own theme music. So I made a rap for myself, and I named a couple people in it, but whatever. So I want to thank everybody for coming here today. I want to send apparently Al's not feeling well. He's got the crud. He's got the flu. So the Squatch Father, as well as I know him as the Pod Father, a good friend. He got the flu. I told him what he could take, and I'm going to call him tomorrow and tell him again. I'm going to send him a list after this show. So I want to send Al prayers, healing, recovery, blessings. Also want to send him out to a friend of mine's mom who's going through something right now, as well as, although he's doing better, Steve Kirk Barry, Pam and Steve, the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. Steve was having a little bit of an issue, but I'm still sending prayers, healing, recovery, blessings his way, as well as his family. I mean, these are great people. And if you haven't gotten to the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, you should. I'm going to be there this year again. I just keep coming back. I think I may actually have a table. I don't sell much. And I'd love to be giving the cryptid talk this year. That would be really, really great. It's just what it is. People, definitely send prayers to the Barry's way. And and Jim and Dave and everybody in their families. They're really good people, and they do such good work to help out Gold Star families, Blue Star families, and other people that need help. And that's what the Battlefield Bash is. Come down, you see all your para celebrities. I hate that term. Al's a para celebrity. He went there. But we'll talk about another conference in a second because I'm gonna throw it up there. But I will be there. It's in July. I had a conundrum today. Conundrum, not a conundrum. I'm saying conundrum because there's a place here called BurgerFi, and they have the conundrum, which is a vegetable patty and a meat patty put together, which is no thank you. Strictly a beef person. So, but I had something on my mind today, and I will tell you straight up, I'm very spiritual. I believe in God. I believe in angels and guardian angels and spirit guides. I still haven't met mine. I'd like to, but part of that conundrum, I was asking some questions, and I'm just going to see if I can pull this back a little bit. And I got an answer actually. Al, you're gonna like what I'm gonna share with you as well. I'm gonna share the screen. I asked this question and I wanted an answer, and I was asking like, God, what do you want from me? Like I it's not what I want, it's what what do you need from me? What do you want me to do? And in that process, I want, I'm interested in this. Can you please help me? And when I thought about it, I had to go to my car, and I literally took the phone out of my pocket to put it in the car, and I literally got this. So, which is incredible. And we're going to talk about this down the line. I don't know what else. And we're going to ask Eric about this too. I want to ask his opinion on it. But 444, an angel number. And that's a way for your guardian angels, your spirit guides, family members, and the like to what do you call it? Just give you a message and let you know what's going on. And let me tell you something, this is really powerful. I've been seeing certain numbers a lot more recently. I see 1111 a lot, 444. I've gotten 222s, and I've gotten 555, and I mean, I can't tell you. I don't just sit there and wait for the phone or the car. I mean, I even have on my car, it was there. I've caught it on my watch, and I take pictures of it. I'm trying to see how many days it's been. I go with this type of stuff. No, I wish it was Al's in chat right now, and he said lottos. Like no, no lottos, but and thank you, Eric, for the intro. I wish it was like the intro, and something great, and I wish it was lottery, but if I do get so lucky, this is a good answer. And we're going to go into the meaning behind all this. We're going to get some people on. We'll maybe have a roundtable to discuss what's going on with these numbers and why people are now like seeing them. I mean, everybody used to see 1111. That's another angel number. I really do feel it was a sign. I mean, I definitely felt it. So that was that. And then one other thing before we bring Eric in. I'm sorry, Eric. I'm not trying to be a pain in the butt. I know he's in the background. I could see him. And Eric's great. And we'll get into him in a second. I want to share one more with you. Talking about events and fun things. I'm sharing that right now. There we go. September 19th and the 20th, I will be at Crossing Realms Conference, Eagleton Civic Center. And look at that guest list. I mean, it's a ton of very well-known people in the world of the paranormal, para celebrities, special guests. My condolences to Ken Gearhart, whose father passed away, but Ken will be there. You're going to have all our fans from Tex Wesson, and they know who Al is. Brandy and Krista from Blondes and Booze, Monica Rawlings from Paranormal World, Paranormal Paul, Daniel Diva, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, who he's like a brother, Donnie Cho, Randy Gilbert. Everybody's going to be there, and I'm going to be doing something with Dogman, but I'm also going to be throwing in a little more stuff and the connection between our cryptid world and our spiritual realm, like ghosts, with also extraterrestrials. So the list is up there. We'll be posting it again. Eventbrite, go get your tickets. It's going to be a great time. I mean, we're in Missouri, so like it should be fun. Like we'll go to Dollyland afterwards and exercise some ghosts. So that's good. But that being said, my first guest on this show tonight is a great guy. I know him very well. He is an astrophysicist. He's an engineer. We'll let him get into all the pedigree stuff, and we'll welcome in, and then we'll just start talking a little bit with him. We're going to try to hit on pyramids and the alignment and some other stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage my brother and good friend, Eric Mattson Jr, astrophysicist. So you have to unmute yourself, Eric. I can't do that. No, I can do that. I'm gonna unmute your mic. Just hit the unmute button at the bottom of your screen.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, brother. It's really
Thank you for coming on. A list of who's who. That's right, Al. It's a list of who's who. And Eric says he wants to attend for sure, but he goes all over the place. I mean, he's in search of a lot of information, and I'm trying to do something different. I don't want to just do all the paranormal stuff, right? Because I've had this discussion, and the I like the esoteric side of a whole bunch of things. And
As why.
I mean, so it's very interesting. Most people, my kids love Eric. They love Al. They love Uncle Al. He's my buddy. This is where my brother from another mother as well. He investigated fidelity with us. I don't know if you were there for that one. So I dragged them out, and I just told them they'll probably have some like Italian food.
No, your kids are the best, man.
Yeah.
They are absolutely amazing.
So yeah, it's a great background. I gotta send him a Bigfoot shirt, the one I have that
Thank you, Al.
the same one with Bigfoot, and I'll send it to you. We'll talk offline. So I met Eric because both of he was coming into the fraternity, the Brotherhood of Freemasons. Yes. No, we're not the Illuminati.
I wish. I wish we controlled everything.
I wish too. I'm trying to get Al to join, but he's just like, he's done. He's playing grandpa, and he does his thing and whatever.
Well, good for him. That means that he's got a family and he's got a life, and that's amazing.
Well, everybody does. You have a family.
Absolutely.
I have a family, and then we have extended families.
And one does not disqualify you from the other. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, we'll get him there.
It actually brings you in more.
I think what we need to do is, I highly recommend it to anybody if they want to, it's no secret. Just go down to your local lodge, hang out with some of the brothers, sign a petition,
Absolutely.
and you'll too find out how to pay your bills. And how to raise money for
charity. I ever
charity.
made. Other than having my daughter, it's the best decision I ever made.
Yeah, no, I remember that's where I met Eric. I met Eric, hey, how's it going? I'm a member of two lodges in the same district in New Jersey. And I met him there, and he was really nice. And I'm like, I had a good vibe about him. And he was really, really, he was knowledgeable. He knew that I knew stuff. You like, oh my God, it was kind of like, are we best friends?
So much room for activities.
Yes. So, and so I was like, Eric's great. And one of the brothers, the other lodge, he's going to be coming on too next week. Dr. Pat, who is a neuropathic MD, right? A neuropathic doctor. And we're going to be talking about frequency and vibration and probably binaural beats and how these things can help you, to energize and get into
it goes even beyond that. But yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And he's very knowledgeable about that. That's going to be a great episode as well, I think.
Yeah. And Mark Getty's here. Is Mark wearing clothing tonight? Mark came in the first episode, and Mark goes, I'm happy to be here to support Brian, and I'm going to do it. I'm naked. So, he did it with, it was fun. No, it was in the Michigan podcast. It was great. But thanks, Mark, for coming in. Mark's going to get me some guests. Mark was with us on the beards. He was actually a beard before I was a beard, even though Mark doesn't have a beard.
I can't grow one either. Don't worry, Mark.
It's fine. So, and we're gonna do a lot of stuff. He is so knowledgeable. He has a book coming out about the mounds, and so it's just
very cool, like the snake mound and whatnot. That's
yeah, all this stuff. So cool. Mark's a great guy. And then we may have that guy Al Santoriga on, if I can get to his agent, his little agent. No, Al is doing like, he was supposed to do a show tonight, but he got the flu. So, what better way to get rid of the flu than I can make you laugh. So with that being said, but so I met Eric, and Pat took him under the wing. That's what we do when we Pat says we do Yes, yeah, you may have too much estrogen. Stop
I guess
eating
I have too
chickpeas.
much as well.
Yeah, stop eating chickpeas, guys. And Pat, what you do is a brother takes you under the wing. They help teach you and learn what you need to learn initially and get you to that point where you are a brother. And I love talking with Eric, love hanging out with Eric. Eric is just a great guy. And there was one time that I didn't know his full life or background or whatever. I just knew he's a good guy.
Yeah, we had just
Everybody
met.
has like issues, and I knew a little bit, but it was like, he's a good guy. Best path for him to get through this whole thing, and make you, what do we make good men better? Is that the slogan?
Apparently that's the motto.
Yeah. Okay. We have pancake breakfasts and steak dinners and spaghetti dinners.
Like I said, it's the second best decision other than having my daughter that I've ever made.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's really wonderful. And once you get to a certain point, and you become you are a master mason, it's whatever you want to get out of it, and you travel and do everything. But apparently at this point, Eric knows everybody. But at the time, I got a message from Pat because Eric was supposed to meet with Pat to do some stuff. And he goes, I haven't been able to contact Eric. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, well, we've been out of contact for a couple of days. I don't know what's going on. So I said, well, keep trying. And we kept searching for you. And at one point,
it's very unlikely of me too. Like,
yeah,
one of my brothers calls me even at that very early point in my Masonic life. Yes.
Right. So I'm like, okay, something, maybe something's wrong or something happened or whatever. So Pat calls me, goes, look, I'm trying, but I can't find him. And I said, I'll tell you what, if you don't call me back in like an hour or 2 hours, I'm going in and I'm going to remote view where he is. So Pat says, okay, yeah, you can do that. Now, I don't think Eric was aware of the full capabilities of what I was doing.
Not even close.
I didn't hear back from Pat. So there I am, and I literally concentrated on trying to find Eric, and I got this image of a hospital near like a morgue area, and I felt the coolness of the basement in the hospital and the morgue, and I was really seeing the morgue, but I was also seeing a curtain, like a hospital curtain, drawn, and I was really nervous because, like I said, Eric, a fantastic human being and wonderful brother.
Thank you.
And then I saw somebody getting medicine in bed, and it seemed like something happened. I know there was an issue. Something happened. It was misidentification, and like something's wrong. So I called Pat up and I said, Pat, you need to check the hospitals. And I told him what I saw, and he goes, okay, I will. And Pat went out, and I said, get back to me,
Unbeknownst to me this entire time, by the way, everyone.
Yeah.
Which is
I didn't know if he was alive or not, or in trouble, or because I'm seeing a morgue, but I'm also seeing this curtain and more, it's like a little bit of this, and you feeling it, and you're like, well, you don't see the those refrigerated boxes for nothing, right? So I tell this Pat calls me, he texts me back, you were 100% spot on. He goes, I'll call you in a few minutes. And I'm like, what? And he calls me back. He
probably
goes,
happened about a week after you did your remote viewing, something like that.
It was pretty. No, he was checking all these places, and this was like 24 hours after I did it.
Okay.
Or something like that.
Yeah,
and,
just a day or two.
Yeah, Pat comes back and goes, you were 100% spot on. He had an incident, and he got beat up, and he lost his he was taking some, like, I think a nebulizer or some other breathing stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. And he's in the hospital, and the room happened to be with a curtain there, and it's next to the meat locker.
Freaking wild.
Yeah.
Wild. When I say wild, guys, I didn't know about this until after everything that I had experienced, which was very traumatic, and it was unfortunate. But regardless, when I finally got back in touch with my brothers and friends and the people that were caring about me and worried about me, I was going into masonry. I was going to take the next step in masonry. To I don't want to go into too much detail about that either,
Yeah.
but
That'll be a
regardless, I was
private
going to the next
podcast.
step, and Pat was already my mentor at that point, and people were worried about me because they're like, this guy wouldn't just disappear because he got cold feet, because that's not me. I was so into what we're doing
He
already.
was.
And
Eric,
I
yeah.
even after that, I got jumped, as Brian had said. It was a very unfortunate situation. I called Brian and basically the next day, and I don't think it was the very next day, but it was somewhere close. And Brian was moving and he needed help, and I asked who showed up to help him, and there was one or two people that showed up to help him. And I called him, and when he said that, I was like, no, this is not okay. And I was like, no problem, brother. I'm going to be there. And I was there. And I had sunglasses on and hat on. I was trying to hide some of the things that had gone on through me.
Yeah.
And when I got there, I explained to him what happened. And Brian looks at me and he's like, you're the one person that had the best excuse to not be here. And you actually showed up.
Yeah, he got mugged, man. And he, I mean, but let me tell you something. He's we'll let it get into his a little bit of a bio,
Yeah, fair enough.
There's a football background with this. So and I know Al, you played but Eric, just give everybody a little bit of a bio, because your face looked like you were stomped, and everybody's my kids are looking, is he okay? And I'm like, he's great.
So I went to college. I became a physicist with a concentration in astrophysics at Rutgers, as well as an engineer, which I have a bachelor's in as well, with a minor in mathematics. But I got my scholarship playing football. I was first team All-State, second team All-American. I broke the sack record for high school students as a freshman in New Jersey SCIL 6. I'm a big dude. I'm about 6'1", 280 pounds right now, something like that. I'm a little heavy right now, but back in high school, I was about 6'1", 230 pounds, 4'6", 40, all that good stuff. But I unfortunately was attacked by several people and had a problem at the time. But I only met Brian once, maybe twice at the time, I think.
Yeah, no more than that.
But I had a connection with him, just as he said he had a connection with me. And when I called him that morning and I found out that really only one or two people showed up to help him, that was it. Yeah. I couldn't say no. And so when I showed up, like I said, I had sunglasses on, a hat on.
Yeah.
I was embarrassed.
You took them off, and it was just like, dude, go home.
So I got there, and nobody really knew because I was hiding very well.
Yeah.
And I waited for his family to walk away and go back to the storage unit or whatever. And I took my sunglasses off and I looked at him, and Brian was like, holy cow, what the heck happened to you? And I explained exactly what we just explained to you guys. And he was like, you have the one excuse that you shouldn't have been here, and you're here. And that meant a lot to him. And ever since, me and Brian have been brothers like this.
Oh, yeah, 100%. He's I mean, like, that was so cool, and I appreciate it. And my kids like, is he going to be all right? And then they loved him. Eric's great. I mean, he's not only great with adults, he's great with kids. I mean, because you're like me. You got a good soul about you. You got a good aura. You got to do good energy. But we're going to get into aura and energy, because you were sending me stuff when we you can't stop things from duplicating. This is his first run on StreamYard, because Eric and I have mutual friends, Dave Ferrigno and Alex, who are the Brothers of the Arcana on YouTube. Great show, very esoteric.
It is.
Eric started it off. I'm giving them a shout out because they're awesome. And I told Alex, you guys need to do, I told him in a reading, you need to do a show. You need to do like other talks and whatever.
Yeah, Brian was very influential on the entire thing. Yes.
Yeah, and it's a great show. I mean, like, out of this world, great show. Eric threw some stuff up there, blew your mind. We're gonna bring it down to this level on Third Eye Live.
Yeah, they gave me a platform to kind of tell my story a little bit, and That's very appreciated. And now we are here now with Brian, and Brian's giving me a platform as well to go a little bit more into the esoteric and some of the other stuff.
Right.
Yeah, naturally, I'm a skeptic, and I know that sounds crazy, especially for everything that I've already said and that we've discussed, and that I'm on Brian's show. But when we get into it, I'm sure it'll be a little bit more clear for everyone of why it is the way it is, and why I'm a skeptic the way I am, and why I still believe in all of this stuff, because there are things that lead to, I mean, logically at least, and through physics and through logical explanation, there are things that completely lead to this, as Brian will tell you. I'm sure he's about to lead into it, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, it's so something, while I'm telling you about my conundrum. I kind of can't. I'm trying to see what he's writing in there, and he said that you had something very relevant to the whole 111 thing, the 4 ones. So let's get into it. Let's get esoteric. Let's get into the craziness.
So I just have one prior thing to say to that. So I didn't get to finish about what Pat said and you said after I came back. Again, I was taking the next step in masonry, which is something that I love. And everybody was concerned because they're like, oh, maybe he got cold feet. And everybody like you and Pat and a couple of other brothers of ours were like, this is not the kid that gets cold feet. No. This is not the guy that gets cold feet. There's no reason for him not to be here. And so the problem with that was when I came back around, because I had some incident that happened, I was in the hospital. Nobody knew about this, not one of them. Pat had come to me and said, Brian remote viewed because we were all worried about you. And when he told me what Brian remote viewed, it was exactly the situation that I was in. And now it wasn't very surprising to me. It was surprising that Brian was able to do it because I didn't know Brian that well yet. And that solidified who Brian was to me, 100%, because he literally gave the details, not to me, but to somebody that is a mutual friend of ours, that explained everything Brian explained to him. And when he explained it to me, I was like, there is no way this guy knew exactly where I was, the exact setting that I was in, the exact things that have happened to me, unless there is an extra step there. It didn't make any sense. Like, I promise you guys, everybody that's watching right now, I am a skepticist. I am an astrophysicist. I go by what physics, mathematics, and everything says. And what Brian had told Pat and what Pat had presented to me, there is no way that this man, Brian,
right?
who I've only known for a few weeks, maybe a couple months tops.
Yeah.
There's no way that this guy knows that much about my life, that he knows exactly where I am and what I'm dealing with. Nobody did, especially Pat, my mentor. And when I found out that Brian told him that, it blew my mind. And again, I'm a skepticist. Yeah. When I heard of this information that he gave to Pat, because I didn't even give Pat this information, it was announced to me by Pat that Brian already knew about all of this. And I've only met the guy 2 or 3 times at this point. And I was like, there's no freaking way. That's where I realized that Brian was the real deal. Even though I had gone to him beforehand and I had put myself forward to help him in any way I could, because I already felt that he was my brother. Again, a third eye thing. It was a gut feeling. This guy that I met, I loved him already. It was weird. And when I met his kids, I already loved his kids like they were my nieces. Like, like that was it. They needed no other explanation, no other experience. And after that, when Pat had explained to me, oh, well, Brian said that he's seeing you in a hospital bed with a curtain drawn over you and taking medications. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? How the hell do you know about that, Pat? Number one, because Pat I knew very well at the time. Number two, me and Brian barely knew each other at the time.
Well, that's the whole that gets into the consciousness, the universe, the Akash record, right? And I didn't do it to pry into your life or world. I was
Absolutely
concerned
not.
about your well-being and safety.
It was
So that's why
out
I
of
did what I
concern.
did.
And when I meet people, especially in masonry and whatnot, I know we want to keep that at a very minimal reason, but you have to believe in a higher power. And people
Yep.
always ask me, because I'm an astrophysicist, well, how are you a mason if you're an astrophysicist? And I always say, what do you mean? Like, well, you believe in a higher power? I'm like, absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind that there is a higher power. I'm like, what do you mean? You're an astrophysicist, you're a physicist, you're a scientist. Most scientists don't believe in that. I'm like, well, physics should explain everything in the physical universal world.
Should.
Unfortunately, it doesn't.
Right.
No matter how hard we try to figure it out, it doesn't. And it should. And that is the higher power to me. 100%. I believe in a higher power. And that is 100%. There's realms, there's realities, there's dimensions above anything that we can perceive or conceive. And that's where we're going to get into with the 1111 and what you wanted to discuss initially. I just wanted to explain that first.
No. I think that's great. And so what's the deal with the 1111 that you mentioned?
Okay. So 1111 is like a superstitious thing for a lot of people. And a lot of people don't understand why that might be a superstitious thing. Do you have anything you want to add to it before I go forward?
No, I was amazed that I was seeing 1111, quite often. And I was trying to figure out what the heck was going on. Because I mean, every time I looked at the clock, there it is, 1111.
Yep. And that happens to a lot of people. And there's a reason for it, in my opinion, at least. And we didn't discuss this before our episode tonight. Not even close.
No, we
didn't even mention this at all.
It was pretty cool. But
so
we'll get
in
into
my
the negative
opinion,
stuff. Yeah.
We didn't mention this at all. This was only mentioned in this little piece of 15 minutes we've been going on at it. And that's
right.
it.
I'm because I have this all the time. I've had it for a couple of years now, but it's really ramped up the last year. And I'll let you continue, but I had this issue today. Something's on my mind, something's internal. And I wanted an answer. Like, what do you want from me? What am I supposed to be doing? Because other people tell you, like, oh, well, ask your guides for their names and they'll tell you. And well, my guides drink heavily. They're at one of the bars in one of the lodges, because I don't get crap from them, but I do get signs like this, that 1111. And this was after we had a little bit of conversation. I'm saying, hey, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to send you the link. I'm picking up something for dinner for everybody. And then he had no idea I was going to talk about it.
Not even close.
Go ahead.
Yep. So back when I was much, much younger, I had a late fiance who ended up passing away from things we don't even need to mention right now. But when I was much, much younger, I think I was 19 at the time, 1111. That was her lucky number. Every time 1111 would come up on the clock, we would make a wish and whatever.
Yep.
Again, I was young. This is well before my astrophysics career and everything else. So I'm thinking about it, right? Like, okay, whatever. I'm a skepticist, so go ahead, do your thing. I'm not trying to prevent you. So as I went through my college career, my career as an astrophysicist, working for NASA, this, that, and the other, I had dug deep into some theoretical studies. And some of the theoretical studies say that, yes, we live in a four-dimensional plane, right? We have length, width, depth, and time is technically the fourth, because space-time is a thing now, right? So I believe, in my own opinion, that there are 12 dimensions.
Just 12? There's not more than that? Okay.
There can be more. Theoretically, there can be more. There can be 20. There can be infinite. There's a bunch of different theoretical studies that say there are this many dimensions. In my specific opinion, I believe there are 12 dimensions. The way that I try to ground that in my reality and how to explain it is, if you think of a soccer ball, right? So you think of like a hexagon that's doubled, basically, which is almost a soccer ball, because
Right. Yeah.
each patch is a hexagon. 12 of them can make the smallest ball you can get.
Right. Or a
So
12-sided die for all you D&D fans.
12-sided. There you go. D&D, baby. Woo! Anyways, from some of the research that I've done, some of my own studies that I've put my own theory into, the 11th dimension is where you transcend to understand it all, which is why 1111, or the 11th dimension, is where you are presented with some of the spiritual things, or at least what we call spiritual things, would be the 11th dimension, the one step prior to unlocking everything, which is why the 11, in my opinion, is so important. And when it's repeated, it makes it even more important and more pertinent. It's a little on the outside there, but I mean, if we want to go into physics and mathematics, I can go into it, but we're going to get into some really.
We're promising no test, no,
Yeah, of course not.
On the final.
Yeah, but that's
we'll
where it
get to
starts
Al's
getting into
question,
some real
in a
big
second.
details. But if you try to shrink down your idea of the entire universe and reality and dimensions as we know it, or as we can perceive it or conceive it,
Right.
let's just crush it down into 12 dimensions. 12th dimension being something of total understanding of the universe.
So is that like, would that the 12th dimension be heaven, for lack of a better word?
For lack of a better word, yes. But now, if you think of a soccer ball, right, and you have those hexagonal patches all over, right? So if you go out one side, the 12th dimension, you're going out from the 11th dimension, because there are 11 dimensions inside of that soccer ball, and you go out one side of that hexagonal patch that you go out of, you come in the exact opposite side on the other side, and that 12th dimension is what transcends the 11th dimension, and you come back in the exact opposite side that you went out of.
So the opposite side. So you go out 11, circle back
You gotta
around.
think of more of, so you have to think of it as a 3-dimensional world or a 4-dimensional world,
Right.
but it's more than that, because if we're going to 12 dimensions, it's actually an 11-dimensional world, which we can't perceive.
There's different dimensions to different sides and different aspects
inside the entire universe. Yep.
Right.
As a sphere or a soccer ball or whatever you want to try to perceive that.
Do you think the 12th dimension is something like reincarnation? Could it be reincarnation, or when you, like, we're in this dimension right now, number 1, when you die you go into number 2, then you go to number 3, then you go 4, 5, 6,
so you're like talking about base reality.
Okay. So that's
talking about base reality. Are we in base reality? Are we in the 12th reality, or so on and so forth?
In the 9th reality,
about like the Matrix and so on and so forth.
Yeah, kind of like that.
So my whole thing about the whole Matrix theory is we understand the Matrix is one thing, whether it's the movie, whether it's a simulation, but I don't think it's any of that. I think that the understanding of what a simulation is or a Matrix is goes beyond our understanding. So we try to bring it down to an elementary level.
Brother Dave here. Yes, we'll get to you in a second, Dave, but yeah, I'm listening.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
That's
so Al came in with my stuff. So I'm not going to get into that, but I understand what you're saying on the dimension side of it. But Al had an interesting question. Maybe you know the answer. Question: hasn't NASA confirmed that, or has NASA confirmed that? The 12 dimensions. Have they confirmed anything?
That's still theoretical. There has been an astrophysicist that has confirmed that black holes are holograms of themselves. So what we're looking at when we look at
that's intense. Think about that concept. Black holes are holograms of black holes.
So what we're seeing is a projected image of what they actually are.
Right.
So when you get into black holes, stuff starts getting really crazy. One of the most accepted theories is when you enter a black hole, when you pass the event horizon, space and time invert. Yeah, that's a mind F.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
So now think about how we
visualize it.
experience space and time. We travel through space as we walk, right? But
Right.
time unfolds around us no matter what.
Constantly.
Yeah, now flip that. Now we walk through time, but space unfolds around us.
Well, it's very interesting. So time technically is an earth construct.
In some ways, yes.
In some ways. Well,
The way
Eric
we
is,
measure it, the way we
Eric
measure it.
is privileged to certain things I am not. But I'm just saying
Unfortunately, unfortunately.
but I've been pretty spot on about things that I'm technically not privileged about, but whatever.
No, you're definitely fucking spot on about. Oh,
Yeah. So we'll get,
you're definitely freaking spot on about a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So the whole purpose, I try to explain this to people, like time is basically an earth construct. We construct time, 1 o'clock, 2, 2, 3, 4, certain movements or whatever, miles per hour, whatever it is. It's all time based. But in theory, time happens at the same breath. Past, present, and future happen in synchronicity of each other.
Einstein tried to explain it the best way he could. Unfortunately, it wasn't that easy to understand. So now, as far as a construct of Earth, it's the way that we measure it. So the way that we measure time is we take two mirrors and we bounce a photon between them.
Okay.
Right? That's 1 second. So photon hits that mirror, comes back to this mirror.
Single split. Is that a single split?
It's kind of where we're going into. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I'll shut up now.
No, it's fine. So on top of that, the reason that time, as we kind of perceive it and understand it, there's a beginning and an end to everything. A sun is created and a sun ends. That's time, right? There's a beginning and an end to that sun. Now, the way we measure it is what we constructed. Now, that all has to do with the inertial frame of reference. So now let's say you're a human on Earth. Earth spins at 1,000 miles an hour. Now let's say you're not a human, but you're some other type of being that's giant, right? That can hold the galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy in their hand, and they see it spinning around. Now we know the Earth spins at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, but it also spins around the sun at about 66,000 miles an hour, give or take. But we also know that the sun and the solar system spins around the Milky Way galaxy at even faster, about 500,000 miles an hour. But then we also understand that our galaxy is traveling through the universe at even a faster rate. So now this is where the inertial frame of reference comes in, which is special relativity or relativity. So when your perception of time is what grants you the idea of being able to measure it and understand it. But if there is a being that lives in a fifth dimension or sixth dimension or 12th dimension, how do they perceive time? Well, perceiving time for them is such a smaller increment, because if we were to take a two-dimensional creature, which understands only length and width, like a stick figure on a piece of paper, which I've discussed in some of my previous. We can't hear you, Brian.
I apologize. I try to go on mute, but actually, Eric gave a great explanation of this, if I'm correct, on Dave and Alex's Brothers of the Arcana podcast. And I'm going to try to find the link to that and send it up. And hopefully, a sidebar, Dave's coming down, so I may be seeing him a couple days.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. So
Dave's a great guy.
Dave's great.
One of my favorite brothers. Anyways, so if we take a piece of paper and we draw a stick figure on it, I'll do it for this as well. That stick figure only understands length and width, right? So all they see is length and width. They can't even perceive what depth is. All they see is length and width. They can see a square, and it looks like lines to them. But now we exist in a three-dimensional plane, and we understand a four-dimensional plane, which is time. Something has a beginning and an end. We have a beginning and an end, and that's technically what the fourth dimension would be. The way we measure it is constructed by us. But now We can see a piece of paper with a stick figure on it, but that stick figure cannot perceive or conceive what we are because we don't exist to them. Now, when you interact with that piece of paper, let's say you put your finger on it and then let go. All that stick figure sees is a small circle get to a certain diameter, then get small again and disappear. And what would that stick figure call it? A UFO or UAP. Now, we as 3-dimensional / 4-dimensional creatures, we see a light pop up in the middle of the sky, go this way really quick, go that way really quick, and then disappear. And what do we call it? We call it a UFO or UAP because we can't perceive what that extra dimension is. Now, let's say they're a 5th-dimensional creature. It might be what Brian can do by going into the astral plane and experiencing and traveling across the universe in a 5th-dimensional plane, which we can't conceive or perceive. These other beings can. They exist in that, so they can see us as a stick figure on a piece of paper, but we cannot see them. And it continues further from that. Now let's go to a 6th-dimensional being, or a 7th, or a 12th. And now it's an exponentially greater concept that we definitely can't conceive yet. Brian may be able to conceive some of those things. Some of those things that Brian has shared with me since we got to know each other, I've been exposed to a little bit by my grandmother, who was very good friends with Deepak Chopra. When I was much, much younger.
Yeah.
She taught me about the chakras and all that other stuff, spiritual beings and whatnot. What you can conceive and perceive, you may achieve, stuff like that. Right. And so some of that stuff was very profound to me. And I was 12 when I started learning about it. So I didn't really know about it, but it did give me the interest into it. And it also gave me, why I am a skeptic, it opened my mind to some of the stuff that can actually be possible, and meeting people like Brian who can do things like Brian can do. Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Let me interrupt just for 1 second. I don't know if you met Al, but you'll eventually will. I'm not like a skeptic, but I have that science background. I did study astronomy and physics, and I thought about being what you are, astrophysicist. But I wanted to make some money, or try to, and not have steal my work. So I said, but I try to employ the scientific method throughout investigations, from ghosts to cryptids, UFOs. Dave Ferrigno, who's in chat right there, our brother, he also does a lot of stuff with the paranormal as well. You know, he does investigations and research into that. So I am a skeptic as well. It's just, let me tell you, when I tell you what I tell you, sometimes that shit blows my mind. You know, it's like when
I believe it. It would blow my mind too.
Well, Al and I do like Al and I've been researching Bigfoot, UFOs, you name it. Dogman, Owlman, Owlman, whatever, you know, quite often. And most of the time when Al is he's not as eloquent, but Al will say something more along the lines of this when he doesn't believe something.
I'm calling bullshit.
That's Al. And that's literally his way saying it. Al will call bullshit. Okay.
I love it. I love it.
Right.
I like to call bullshit.
So Al's like, you know, he's going to call bullshit. It's just, you sit there, and we did a CE5. Close encounter of the fifth kind, which is an active encounter where you use your consciousness. What we're doing here in Third Year Eye Live, how your consciousness, your third eye, that intuition, whatever, helps you to get through and do what you do in life. And we're sitting in this field, and apparently we have like 120, 130 people there, and the chief of police of the town. And Al's recovering from chemo. So I'm leading the show. We're wiped out. To be honest, Al and I were so freaking tired, we wanted to go home. But because this nice young girl and her grandma were there, we want to see okay, I'll do it for you guys. We called the Crafton. It was over our heads. It was acres long. Acres. When I tell you acres, the size of this thing was ginormous. It was gunmetal black. Everybody went, ooh, ah. And Al and I are sitting there going, holy shit. I had a holy shit moment. I'm like, wow. So I understand being a skeptic. And go ahead. Sorry.
So no, I just wanted to support what you're saying. So now a stick figure seeing a circle pop out of nowhere.
Right.
We're much bigger than a stick figure, right? No matter how
Oh,
big you make it, we're much more in depth and so on and so forth. So think of a higher dimensional being interacting with our reality. It might be even bigger than that. It might be smaller than that. We don't know, but the interaction that it has with our plane of existence and reality blows our
Right.
mind. And I seen a question which we can get to in a little bit from Dave.
Yeah.
What
We're gonna,
happens to people when they leave this meat suit? Good question, Dave. We've talked about this before a little bit, not on air, but
yeah,
are they going into a portal on the moon? Oh, Dave, I love you, bro.
Yes.
But yeah, the moon is very confusing as well. But regardless, a lot of the paranormal, in my opinion, from the veil that has been lifted for me.
Right.
If you don't mind me going into it right now, Brian.
Go into whatever you want to go on, because we're gonna see this is how this works. You know, you want to go here. I want to go to this store, but there's an inner force, your consciousness, your pineal,
100%.
the DMT it's generating, whatever it is. You
Well,
go,
yeah.
I'm gonna go this way. No, I'm going this way now. You know.
So that's another thing that I spoke about in one of the episodes that I was on with Dave and Alex, when I spoke about this man that he smoked DMT, he put a diffracted laser on the wall. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up the laser thing, but you keep going. This is insane.
So
this is insane. Mind bending.
It is.
I wish we could do it. I wish
mine too.
I really wish we can replicate that, because it's really weird.
Replicated it over 100 times.
No. I'm talking about for video.
So that's the difficulty, right?
It's the problem.
So now think of a shadow being a different dimension. You can record a shadow, but what does that shadow see? Type thing.
Right.
So what this man did was he took a hit of DMT, and for some reason he wanted to look at a diffracted laser on a wall, and he's seeing what we understand as computer code in the Matrix, just like the Matrix movie. Zeros, ones, letters, directions, whatever. And he was shocked. His mind was blown. He's like, that didn't make any sense.
I got to get a disclaimer that says my show and everybody's not endorsing DMT or drugs, but keep going. We're not, but keep going.
So he invited another over 100 people in. Didn't explain to him what he saw, but gave them the same experiment. Here's the variable, take the DMT, smoke it, look at this diffracted laser, which is also another variable, and tell me what you see. And out of all these people he gave the exact same variables to, they seen the exact same thing. Now that's a big problem. Shared hallucinations don't exist. If we were both to take a hallucinogenic right now, there's no way we're seeing the same thing.
Yeah. Unless we're in a different reality, and the real reality or base.
One of the, yeah. So every single one that they gave this DMT to that had them look at a diffracted laser, they all perceived and observed the exact same thing. They explained it and described it the exact same way as the
and it
first
was like
person.
the Matrix numbers, right?
Yep.
So try to visualize that. Remember in the Matrix, when you're seeing all the Matrix numbers coming down, I'm going to try to find a graphic or something like that I could throw up. But, you know, Matrix numbers.
I can also send you the link of this actual study that was done.
Yeah.
And you can provide that for them after our whole thing.
Yeah, we could do that, and we could put it up. So I'm just going to bring up this picture. I'm going to open up in a new tab. and then keep going. I want you to keep going because it's
So now when we go into that kind of stuff, we start touching upon something called dual causality,
right.
which is, I think, a very fluid motion from what we were just talking about to where physics comes in and tries to explain it. So now we have something called dual causality, which was observed by an actual experiment done by physicists called the double slit experiment. So now the double slit experiment, which I'm sure Brian will also share a link with you guys. You take a wall, you put 2 slits in it, and you shine a light at it. Now, what do you expect to see on the opposite side where the light's coming from of that double slit? Yep, that's exactly what it looks like.
This is what, like, the Matrix thing, and this is what people are seeing, and it's not just, this is static. So this is just the way it is, right? It's static.
Yeah, but beyond ones and zeros, there's letters, there's other things. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm gonna look
that we don't know what they are. Cipher, maybe, perhaps.
Right. Yeah. Keep going with the double slit.
Yeah. So the double slit experiment, we have a wall, put 2 slits in it at a certain distance apart, and we shine a flashlight or a laser beam at it. And what do you expect to see on the other side of that wall against the wall that's behind it? 2 slits, right? So the weird thing that happens is we get something called an interference pattern, which looks like a barcode, where the thickest is in the middle and it deteriorates through the end. Yep. So you have a thick line in the middle, and then it separates and it diminishes off to the left and right. Now that doesn't make any sense because we're shining the light at 2 slits in a wall. We should have 2 slits of light on the other end.
Exactly.
Now that's confusing. So now the physicist said, all right, let's fire 1 photon, which is a particle of light, at a time at this wall to go through one or the other slit and come out on the other end. We should get 2 lines of light on the other end against the wall. There it is. That's the interference pattern.
Right there. So that's a double slit.
Yep. So now they started firing photons at this wall. And obviously the photon should go through one slit or the other. Now they're firing one at a time, just one specific photon at a time, not just shining a light or a laser. 1 photon at a time. Pew, 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 pew. After, let's say 100,000 fires on the other side of that wall, we get another interference pattern. And that didn't make any sense. So now the physicists that were studying this said, okay, let's put a high-speed camera on the other end of this double slit in the wall, and let's record it at a high-speed frames per second. And we'll see which slot the photon goes through, right? So now they fire 1 photon at a time. Why they have a high-speed camera on the other end, right? And now while it's recording it, we get 2 slits of light on the other end. Not the interference pattern, but we get those 2 slits. And that didn't make any sense either. How does that make sense? Now, because we're recording it, all of a sudden we get 2 slits. All right, so now there's one more step to that. Prior to that next step, they say, okay, let's try it with electrons, which are actually mass. They have mass to them. Photons have no mass. It's just particles of light because particles of light act as waves and as particles. So now let's take actual particles that we know only act as particles. And now let's fire 1 electron at this double slit at a time and see what happens on the other end. And we get the interference pattern again. Then we plug in the high-speed camera again, and we fire these electrons again. And now we get 2 lines of electrons on the other side of the double slit. And now we're like, okay, let's take it one step further, and let's try to trick it. Let's leave the camera on the other end, but unplug it. So maybe it's, monitoring it. Maybe it's not. And now let's fire the electrons again.
Right. Think about that. Think about what they're doing. We're going to put the camera on the other end, but we're going to unplug it. And let's see what happens. Why would you do that?
Because nothing else made sense.
No. It's not only that. It's
beyond that.
Yes. That whole concept of what you just said. We're going to do this experiment, but now we had the camera at the other end. We're going to leave the camera at the other end, but we're going to unplug it. Now, in theory, you thinking, oh, it's probably going to give the same results.
It goes back to the interference pattern.
Go continue.
It goes back to the interference pattern. So now at this point, what that means is these electrons, which are particles of mass, are entering through the double slit, seeing the camera there, but seeing that the camera is not actually observing them. Goes back in time, tells the electrons to act as a wave instead of a particle now, and then recreate the interference pattern.
It's just you just
I don't even know what to say because it makes no sense to me. I can actually show you guys how to perform this actual experiment on your own, and you'll see the exact same thing. It's called the observer paradox. Yeah. When you observe these things, they act as particles instead of waves. When you don't observe them, they act as waves. So they're in a state of flux, kind of like Schrodinger's cat. You put a cat in a box with a poisonous substance and you seal the box. Until you open that box, that cat
don't condone the cruelty to animals. Keep going.
Absolutely. But now, until you open that box, that cat is both dead and alive. Just like until you observe a particle.
Right.
It's both a wave and a particle until you observe it. Now, the way to make this into understanding it for layman's terms for people that aren't physicists or don't understand this, let's say you're playing GTA, right? Grand Theft Auto, a video game, any video game, World of Warcraft, whatever, right? And you're walking through the world this way, straight. You see everything in front of you. And that whole world is rendered for you. And you know there's a whole world behind you.
In somewhat real time, it's rendered.
Exactly. Now, you know there's a whole world behind you, but you can't see it. So until you turn around and look at it, nothing's there.
Exactly.
Nothing's there.
So
until you turn around to look at it, there's nothing there.
Let's take this into Brother Ferrigno's question about the meat suit. So at a moment when you pass away, right?
DMT is generated in your brain by the pineal gland.
That's you, but I'm just saying from people that observe somebody who has passed away, technically, if we understand this whole double slit and observing through observing, this is where it gets really, really crazy. That the person you see in bed that is passed away or wherever is also alive at the same time. How long is the length of that time is probably minimal, but it's, its energy is dissipating over a quicker time and it's transferred into some other form of energy.
That's the whole inertial frame of reference.
Yeah.
Depending what reality or dimension you're in, you're observing it at a certain inertial frame of reference. And unless you're in that same inertial frame of reference, you don't see it the same way.
No, you don't. And
you're absolutely right. Exactly.
So let's compound the thing that Al just said is the camera creating an electric magnetic field when it's on.
So all of this exists on an electromagnetic field. And again, a lot of this is theoretical. So on a gravitational field, we have theoretical particles that are called gravitons. We also have theoretical particles that can only exist when they travel faster than the speed of light. And as we know by, relativity or special relativity, the fastest or the universal speed limit is the speed of light. But we know that is not true because we have black holes which collapse space-time in on itself faster than the speed of light. So there is something missing there. And that's why I get those questions about how can you be this if you are a physicist? How do you believe in a higher power? Well, because physics should explain the entire universe, and it doesn't. And in my opinion, that's where divine intervention comes in. The third eye comes in. The extra dimensions come in. And again, as a skepticist, it blows my mind because it's so hard for me to believe, but there's no other explanation for it. If that makes sense? The only explanation for it is that there's a intelligent designer of our universe.
Right. And then okay, so on top of that, this is why I was trying to explain, like, everything. This is what Tesla was telling you, 369. Sound, frequency, resonance, vibration. Okay.
That's a great transition to the pyramids. Yep.
Right. And we're gonna get into that. We're gonna have Eric's gotta come back, and I'm gonna stress it now. I don't want to keep you too long because I went a little bit longer in the hour, but we'll keep you for a little bit more. Not that I want to shut it down, but Eric's got a life he has to get back to. But something, where Eric does a lot of work, there is a really big telescope. I have yet to be to it, because usually every time it was crappy, I think, when I came back up to the
weather was bad.
Yeah. And I live for this. I mean, like, I've always wanted one of these bad boys in my backyard. But and Al, if you want in, let me know. It'll be a Wednesday night. And I'll probably be broadcasting for both. But we got to get approval because he's not the boss. And if we can, we're gonna have Eric back, and we're gonna have him back with another guest, and we'll discuss it later, or I'll bring you a little promo down the line. But we're gonna try to broadcast from the telescope. And hey, Woo, and
we'll get that. That's gonna be great.
And what's going to be great about it is Eric will be on camera, and he may be in a like a red field to block some of the brightness of the monitor. So you may not be able to see him, but he knows he can. I told him you can use your portable camera and log in too. And then we may be able to hook us up to the telescope and go, hey, tune this to X. And we're going to go see some stuff,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
up to 2.5 million light years out.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so continue, like the 369, the frequency, vibration, resonance. Here we go. I didn't mention, but we're going to talk about something about the pyramids. And Eric does a presentation. We can also have you come back and actually do the presentation. Yep. And he has you got a 3D printed model. I know who
told you.
I know who did that. Yeah. So Eric, go into the pyramids, and welcome, Woo.
So you are all welcome, especially Woo.
Yes.
The pyramids, there's a lot that goes into it. I will start it the way that I start my presentation. We are taught.
Everybody give me $20. I tried to get him to do it, but he wouldn't do it.
So we are taught. What are we taught about the pyramids? What were they made for? I'm pretty sure you guys are about to answer. They were tombs of the pharaohs, correct? Now, where do we find hieroglyphics? In the pyramids, the Great Pyramids of Giza, right? Well, that's all incorrect. There's never been a mummy, a sarcophagus, or any hieroglyphic ever found in the Great Pyramids of Giza, period. We're also taught that the pyramids have 4 sides, which is also a fallacy. They have actual 8 sides. Each side is indented in like this, and you can only see that on the summer and winter solstice of each year, unless you have an aerial photo of these pyramids. So now we go one step further. We're also taught that they are aligned with Orion's belt. Well, that's also not true.
Yep.
They have to either be flipped, or a 10 degree of accuracy has to be flipped as well. So that is not true. Although a long time ago, 13 to 15,000 years ago, give or take, is when they did align with Orion's belt. And we are taught that these pyramids were built 4,500 years ago. Doesn't make any sense. Now we take the height of the pyramid, 481 feet, and multiply that by 43,200, and we get the polar radius of the Earth to a 99.7% degree of accuracy. Okay, interesting. Now we take the perimeter of the base of the pyramid, and we multiply that by 43,200, and we get the equatorial radius of the Earth to 99.8% degree of accuracy.
And is that Earth flat?
Oh, yeah, of course it's flat. Yeah, that makes sense. Yep.
Go ahead.
No, it's definitely not flat, but we can go into that on another episode unless you want me to go into it now. But either way, so now what is the significance of 43,200? What is it? That's a big number. Why are we using that number? Well, now let's think back to how many sides are on the pyramid, right? There's 8 sides. We can only see it during the winter and summer solstice. How many hours of day and how many hours of night are on the winter and summer solstice? 12 hours of each, right? How many seconds is 12 hours? 43,200. So now we go
Are
even
you seeing
further.
the map unfold of the Earth and the latitude and longitude?
They knew how big the Earth was. They knew it all. Now we go to the geographical center of the Earth. Where is that?
New Jersey. No,
Yeah,
that's
pretty much, right?
Other joke right there.
It's the northeast corner of the Great Pyramid of Giza, or Khufu's pyramid, they call it. Yeah, that's all BS in my opinion. Now, on top of that, the GPS coordinate of the Great Pyramid of Giza is the same number as the speed of light. It also incorporates pi. It also incorporates Euclid. There's a lot that goes into it. Beyond that, now we talk about, well, what the heck happened. Well, now there's 2 chambers that enter in, the Queen's Chamber and the King's Chamber. Each pyramid, and not just the Great Pyramids of Giza, but each pyramid across the world is sat on top of a natural aquifer. Now, what's the significance of that? Well, these pyramids resonate at the same frequency of what the Earth resonates at. And that comes from the natural aquifer that is sat below them.
Right.
Okay, so now we have the inner chamber of a pyramid vibrating at the frequency of Earth. There you go, right? Now we have these chambers that go into the King's Chamber and the Queen's Chamber. And we found chemical residue of hydrated zinc chloride as well as hydrochloric acid. And now when you mix those 2 chemicals, it creates hydrogen gas, which is extremely flammable and has a lot of energy to it. Now, the inner chambers of the pyramid are made of rose quartz granite, something that is very, very interesting and completely significant to just rose quartz granite. Have you ever used a electric grill lighter where it clicks, 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 and then lights?
Yep.
Well, it uses something called piezoelectricity. And piezoelectricity is created from compressing a piece of quartz between 2 pieces of metal. And that gives it a spark or an electrical charge. So now we're on the inside of this pyramid, resonating at the frequency of the Earth. And now we have the King's Chamber, which is a layer of stone granite quartz, wood, stone granite quartz, and we have 5 layers of that. Now, when you go inside of the King's Chamber, you look at the sides of the interior of it. 3 of the sides of the rose quartz granite are smooth. 1 is rough, chiseled out for every single layer. Acoustic engineers have gone into the Great Pyramid of Giza and have said specifically that it has musical properties, that it resonates at the exact frequency of the Earth, and that it has to be an acoustic generator. Now, they also found in the Grand Gallery, which you can see here, 27 or 28. This is also hard because, again, we're going back tens of thousands of years. And they found these resonators inside, or at least spaces where these resonators existed in the Grand Gallery. And so these little chambers that coming from the outside of the pyramid into it could have been an area where they poured these chemicals in, created this hydrogen gas, resonated it from the frequency of the natural aquifers underneath the pyramid. And so at that frequency, the molecules of hydrogen, they line themselves up to exactly 4.8 by 8.4 centimeters, which is the exact way to create hydrogen molecules into microwaves. Then you have the spark of the piezoelectricity from the rose quartz granite. Sparks the microwaves of hydrogen, shoots it through the top of the pyramid, which the capstone was 24 karat gold, which is a great conductor of electricity, the best conductor of electricity.
Right. And we're one of the first things removed by
Yeah,
the
yeah. We haven't seen the capstone. It's what we're told about it. So now we have an thermoacoustic generator of clean electricity. Now it's shooting all this electricity into the upper ionosphere of our atmosphere, and it reverberates and bounces back because specifically it's at the frequency of the Earth, which is why it is able to remain in the ionosphere continuously. And it goes around the world through the ionosphere collectively and constantly until, well, how do we get all this electricity out of the ionosphere, Eric? Well, all you need is a copper plate capacitor rested on the roof of your house. You take a copper wire, you connect it to that copper plate capacitor, and you put it all the way down into the ground of the Earth.
Yep.
And you have wireless electricity through your house, as much clean and wireless electricity as you need.
And you got to understand something here. Let's get a little bit deeper. You know all the churches and the spires,
Steeples, yep.
and all of the I forgot what they're called in Russia. The top of the they're not spires, but it's a certain look to the Russian temples,
Like an obelisk, or
yeah, it's a little more like an egg shape. And please forgive me, my Russian side of my family will kill me. You don't know what that is. What are you, stupid? Whatever. But and then you go into fireplaces, and when the fireplaces wasn't about wood and it wasn't about fire, it was about positive and negative coming down and generating a certain frequency, vibration, resonance. That's why they got rid of bells. I mean, keep going.
So now on top of this, the only thing found in the Great Pyramids of Giza was a black sarcophagus, is what they call it, also created of rose quartz granites. It's the only thing they found in any of the three Great Pyramids of Giza. You guys can fact check this on Google. It's going to tell you the same thing. So now the dimensions of this black sarcophagus is basically the same dimensions of the Ark of the Covenant, which is basically a dielectric capacitor. It's battery. So in my opinion, it was charged in the Great Pyramids of Giza, lifted out, brought across the world, and shown people wireless electricity. I mean, on top of that, there's something called the SAA. If I'm allowed to get into that, is that okay?
Yeah, you can get into it. It's fine.
Yeah, the SAA is the lowest point of our magnetosphere that dips down in the southern Atlantic. It's called the Southern Atlantic Anomaly. And our magnetosphere actually dips down lower there than anywhere else, which is why we try to prevent satellites, the ISS, and everything else in space to avoid that specific spot.
Yeah, because it'll just.
Yep. Yeah, they crash all the time into the Atlantic Ocean.
And if you take that concept and the different energy, sound, and frequencies, right? And we don't have it hooked up. That's why there are pyramids all over the world. This was designed. This is a giant circuit. And that's why some of them, they don't work as much because they're offline. Someone unplugged them. And
messed them up. Absolutely.
Yeah, something unplugged them. And then, part of this also, and I didn't get into this with, when you were talking about it. We've had this conversation before that I thoroughly believe, and I used to love Egypt and I thought it was the coolest thing. And I still think it's the coolest thing.
Absolutely.
But the Egyptians didn't build it.
They found it.
They happened upon it. And I think the reason why the gold is gone and everything shut down is because those idiots took it and made jewelry and other things from it. And they were some people were smart enough to we have those people in our government and around the world. They're linguists. They will be able to, if we have an interaction with a race of beings not of this earth, they will be able to say, yeah, this is a language. And they'll kind of be able to get a little bit of the dialect and figure it out enough to create some sort of Rosetta Stone so that we can translate. And then through time, it'll, more communication, proper communication, we'll communicate with them. Okay. Some people saw these hieroglyphics, it was all written down. Whoever did this said, literally, it's like, your mother or your parent writing down, take the shit out of the laundry, fold it, put that back, mop this, shut that light off and this light off. That's what it was. And, they built an empire around it. But another thing, and I beg you, we did have Dave, I believe he threw up a link to the show where Eric was. These are different links. I'll probably put it into the not the chat, but the description. Eric is doing, he talks about a lot of this, and he also talks there's other guests that Dave and Alex had on. Hopefully we're going to get him on. Also brothers. There may have been more than one Ark of the Covenant.
Absolutely.
And that there's a really good chance there was something. Oh, I hope you don't hurt me. Something nuclear based in it. And people were able to take this energy waves, these energies and frequencies, and literally focus them into death rays and disintegrators. And they
It's
knew
another one of my presentations on the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah. So, although that's the DMT link. Okay, no problem. We're selling DMT at this point. No problem. But I will post the link to Brothers of Arcana because I'm all about the love. I want you to subscribe. I want you to come in and follow. But Eric does the bookend. He started that show off and he ended this first season with them. I'm in the midst of it, by the way. And I love when brothers kind of like correct other brothers and then find out later on. And Alex, well, he was right about something, but we'll get into that at another time. And we'll have Dave and Alex on also because that should be fun.
Oh, that'd be great. Great.
But they also had Scott Walter on.
Scott Walter's great.
Yeah. And then Tim Hogan.
Tim Hogan's great too. Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get, because you know what? One of the things, you ever hear the saying, folks, membership has its privileges?
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's why you may want to go visit, ask one to be one, but continue. Sorry about the pyramids.
No, don't worry about it. So again, back to, I guess my other presentation is, back in the day in the Middle East, uranium, plutonium was a very, very prominent element that was founded in these areas. So now if you take the Ark of the Covenant as a dielectric, which was a capacitor, and you take what was said to be inside of them, the 10 commandments on these two stones, what happens if these two stones were radioactive materials like uranium or plutonium? Now we start talking about actually projecting, energy and electricity from something that was a dielectric. And so on top of that, when you take the hydrated zinc chloride and the hydrochloric acid, you get hydrogen at a safe pace. Now, right. If you switch that to what is it called? The other acid, not hydrochloric, but sulfuric acid.
Sulfuric.
And you mix that with the zinc chloride. Now, without even mixing them, you have an explosion, which we have evidence of this in the Great Pyramids of Giza, where these walls have been blasted out 3 inches and so on and so forth. And these scorch marks and so on and so forth. I believe, because I can prove about 15,000 to 13,000 years ago, there was the mother of all CMEs, which are coronal mass ejections, which hit our planet. And we have evidence of this, scientifically, not theoretically, but actually scientifically, where we can revert back to what it was. And it might have either ended what those pyramids were doing. The SAA that we now have in the Southern Atlantic anomaly, 15,000 to 13,000 years ago, was located right above the Giza Plateau. And now, just about 4 months ago, they have proven that there are plasma bubbles in our atmosphere and magnetosphere that were located right above the Giza Plateau, which proves my theory of the SAA originating or being present at the Giza Plateau, the pyramids collapsing down, and now the SAA being where it is in the southern Atlantic Ocean.
Right.
That just came out back in September of 2024. We also found out that Tesla realized what all this was going on. He went to the pyramids. He figured it out. He went back to the
Is it Westinghouse?
it's not Westinghouse. It's the device that he made on Long Island. Was it?
Yeah, it was the Long Island terminal.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's called the Tesla Tower.
Yeah, exactly.
And
he drilled down.
Yeah, it's a ginormous Tesla coil.
Yeah, if I had my presentation, I'd be able to show you, but
Well,
I can even share with you guys.
anyhow. But yeah, keep
So
going.
what he did was he took these copper and iron rods and he drilled them down 39 feet down, and he built his tower on top of it. And these pillars went all the way up to the top of his tower, and he was basically able to generate an enormous amount of electricity that was wireless. And basically, Edison didn't want him to do it because Edison was making money off this electricity.
Yep.
And so if he was able to give it out for free, everything was screwed. But he figured out what the pyramids were doing. And now everybody always asks me in my presentation, well, one of the most interesting and integral parts of the wireless thermoacoustic generators was the copper and iron rods that went down into the aquifers, the natural aquifers, which, by the way, the tower of Tesla was also on top of a natural aquifer where those poles went into.
Very important.
2019, they discovered copper and iron rods that were extremely tall in the natural aquifer of the base of the Great Pyramids of Giza. And everything continues to point to all of that. And it's very wild because I can build devices that would give us 0 point energy and whatnot. And that goes into a whole bunch of other stuff. But the physics check out. And I can tell you that, and I can put my name on it. And anybody that ever wants to know, I can show you. Wardenclyffe Tower. That's it. Thank you, Dave.
I know there was
You remembered.
It was the Tesla Tower. Yeah.
Which they destroyed before he was
purposely.
able to complete it.
There were two of them.
Pay back Edison and his investors.
Right. And there's, one of the byproducts that Tesla had when there's a famous photo of him sitting with all this electricity going around him.
Tesla coils.
Yeah, it's bugging out. And
Cool.
there have been individuals that it's like, diaries of Tesla, and he made mention secondhand to when these things get turned on, he hears things entering into the facility. And
he even spoke about communicating with higher dimensional beings.
Yeah. So this is also, this is why it's so important. This is why sound frequency vibration resonance is so important. Because if you get it and you get the frequencies right, and everybody's vibrating on the same frequency, this is what they're using. This is the energy they're using. This is
That's
in
so
my
sad.
personal. Yeah, we have conversations about Bigfoot every once in a while. We're not going to do that right now.
Fair
But
enough.
when I had numerous experiences firsthand, and no, I didn't have the camera going. We had the recorder going. We had some cameras going, but of course, there's an error. Couldn't record, corruption disk. Talk to anybody that investigates this stuff, right?
As a skeptic, when Brian came through with what he said he came through when I was missing, and it was transferred to me by a third party, no, anything he says, I would never question ever again.
I mean,
Honestly.
Woo Writer says thoughts on Trump's uncle involved with Tesla on a live cover-up. I don't know if he killed him necessarily. Tesla was on his way out to begin with. He pissed in the cornflakes of the wrong people.
That goes back to what I was saying about the people that create hydrogen-based vehicles, people like Tesla, people like me that can build these things. And yes, yeah, you fall on an ice pick 6 or 7 times somehow. And it happens. It happens quite often, like quite often, which is why I've had people ask me, hey, can you create a 0-point energy device where I can power my house for free? I'm like, yeah, I can do that. But buying those
He'll go to
materials,
jail though. But yeah, you can do that.
buying those materials is going to flag me, and these people are going to. I have an NDA with NASA about what I learned when they lifted the veil for me, learning about that we are definitely not alone. We have ultra dimensional beings that I have been exposed to, which again we can do on a later term.
We'll do it at a later time. We're going to leave him with a teaser because we've been on a little bit longer than I told you.
It's wild stuff. It's why it gives me nightmares. Yep.
Yeah, we're getting close where this gentleman's got to go because he has other obligations, but it's the coolest thing in the world. I really wish that a lot of people could be with us because we play golf quite often in the summer. And we have the craziest conversations. And then some of the other brothers who really aren't into it are like, shut the fuck up and hit your ball. But if the sphere this is a Dyson sphere, like shut up and play.
Dyson spheres are fun too.
I think the best way to do it is Dave posted, just so everybody knows, I think people going to want more background on Eric himself, Eric Mattson. Okay, that's episode number 1. I'm in the next episode. Well, I'm all about the love. The Brothers of the Arcana, they're my brothers. And I love what they do. I literally sat in this is my office, my space, whatever. And I sat there and I binge watched the Scott Walters one.
Scott Walters was a great episode. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
There's some stuff that I subject myself to and some stuff that I actually truly enjoy.
Right.
So,
And I'd love to have Scott on. Yeah.
So
I think what I would like to do is I'm going to have Scott on and maybe grab you to do co-host.
I would love that. You know that, Brian.
You know what I'm saying? And then
I would be honored, bro.
Yeah, that would be great. Al loves you. Dude, trust me.
Love you too, Al.
Yeah,
you want to see a cool shirt? Check this shirt out. It's the moon phases.
It's the moon phases. Dude,
we can talk about the moon next time.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into all that stuff. This is a little bit too much, and I'm gonna stop it right now, only to make his life easier. But I don't think Trump's uncle was just woo. I personally don't think Trump's uncle was involved in what you just wrote, but he sure as hell was. What he knew the value of what was being brought forth. He was before the powers that be knew it. And I think this gets into the Project Looking Glass and Baron Trump's adventures and time travel and seeing the future and gaming the future. We're going to get into this because
Philadelphia experiment.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
It goes deep.
And yeah, I think if you had to put a scale up, Tesla's all the way up here. And Einstein's a little bit around here.
The one person I'd love to go back and meet is Tesla.
I
want to have a conversation with anybody in history, it's Tesla.
Yeah, it's yeah. So we're gonna have Eric back. I don't want to, I want to keep going. And I made that mistake once, but people have an attention span to a certain degree, and like
You're
I
absolutely
said,
right. You're absolutely right.
So I don't want to take, he has to get, going and doing his thing.
I got some stuff to go. Yep.
Yeah. And I want to thank you very much for coming on the broadcast, being who you are, my brother, and
appreciate that, brother.
Freaking source of huge knowledge and fun and excitement. Yeah. So, and I appreciate that. But like I said before, and I'll call you tomorrow. We'll just chat, afterwards.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I'm trying to do something different than everybody else. I don't want to do the same paranormal show. I'm tired of the paranormal. I'm tired of all the para crap. Pardon the expression. Either you're out there and you experience it or you don't. There are way too many people making stuff up to try to be relative. They're not. And there are other people, like, you go out 10 times, 9 of those 10s, you're not getting anything. And it's that one time that says, I'm going to go out 20 more times because I know I only get one more experience. That's how it works. You know, Da Vinci wouldn't be bad either. Yeah. We can go back to him too. Yeah. But everything would be coded. But again, this is what
pretty much.
This is why, like, what is your third eye? What is your consciousness? What is that inner gut feeling? You know, when a mom, like, I have a bad feeling about the gate. There's something at play here. It gives people the thought to go, I'm going to go and try to create a 0 point energy thing. I'm going to look into this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to bypass this road to go here. This is what this whole show's about. Yeah, we'll throw
it transcends into a higher dimension.
Right.
Just like we can see what a stick figure does.
Right.
When you transcend into that higher dimension, I think we can see everything that's going on.
So I'm begging people, share this thing, hit that thumbs up button, because I really need those. We're getting more and more viewers in the live stream, which I want more views in the live stream. But I mean, there's a ton of viewers that are actually getting this after the fact, which I'm loving too. And we just want to be able to bring you more content and more people and more technology, and we're making it interactive. So let me tell you, I have the ability to take phone calls. We're going to be doing that. So
that'd be fun.
Yeah, I can call you. Can call me. I have a number, and you know,
that'd be a lot of fun.
I have a banner, and you can call me and whatever. So we're going to be doing that, but I can't do this without each and every one of you, and Woo and Al and Dave, and you know, everybody that showed up tonight. Also, you know, some of the new people, the Inside the Gobbledygook Universe people that love to watch Mark Eddy, love you. You know, it's great to meet new people as well. Douglas Sullivan, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming in. Like, share, comment. Hopefully my algorithms go through the roof, and things happen. But I couldn't do this without any one of you, and I do appreciate it. And this is why this is one of my own. This is for all you guys. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
We love you, brother. Thank you.
It's always been you. God showed me you. I have been searching decades for you. I found you, I lost you. My heart is broken without you. My soul aches for you. I need you, I want you. My days are filled with you. I've seen the future with you. My home is with you. I have felt the future with you. My nights are filled with you. Love is you. True love is you. My happiness is you. Every past life is with you. My dreams are filled with you. Life is meaningless without you. My future is with you. I will fight for you. I will defend you. I will give up my life for you. Whatever it takes for you. Nothing else matters but you. I love you. I love you. I love you. God showed me you. I have been searching decades for you. I found you, I lost you. My heart is broken without you. My soul aches for you. I need you, I want you. My days are filled with you. I have seen the future with you. My home is with you. I have felt the future with you. My nights are filled with you. Love is you, true love is you. Love is you, true love is you. My happiness is you. Every past life is with you. My dreams are filled with you. Life is meaningless without you. My future is with you. I will fight for you. I will defend you. I will give up my life for you. Whatever it takes for you. Nothing else matters but you. I love you. I love you. Life is meaningless without you. My future is with you.